You know, we all have this fundamental drive, right? To grow, to get from where we are today to where we want to be tomorrow. It's the story of ambition. But what if I told you the single biggest danger on that journey isn't failure or a lack of skill, but the very moment you start to succeed? Let's get into it.
So, every great journey, whether it's across the world or just in your own career, really starts with this one simple question. You got to know your starting point, and you got to have a destination in mind. Now, this could be a literal journey like the one from India to Dubai we see here, but the journeys that really define us, those are almost always metaphorical.
So let's imagine your journey is like a train ride. You're getting on at a station called Garipur, which you can think of as Poorville, a place of scarcity. And your goal, your destination, is a booming city called Amirpur, or Richville, a place of abundance. The track is laid out for you, but here's the catch. It's lined with these tempting little stops that can completely derail you.
Yeah, between where you start and where you really want to end up, there's this massive, massive gulf. But it's not a gulf of failure or not having enough talent. No. This is a chasm that's created by something way more subtle, and honestly a lot more dangerous.
And there it is. That's the trap. It's that moment you get a little taste of success, a little bit of recognition, and you lean back in your chair and think, yeah, I'm the boss now. I've arrived. That feeling, that sense of accomplishment, it makes you stop rowing. And before you know it, you're not moving forward anymore. You're drifting right back into that huge gulf of complacency.
And this really boils down to a fundamental choice you have to make about your own identity. As you start to get some wins under your belt, you have to decide who you're going to be. Are you going to keep being the person who created the success, or are you going to become the person who just manages it?
On one side, you've got the worker. This is the person who's still in the field, still doing the work, always hungry, always learning. This was you on day one, right? But on the other side, you've got the manager. This person is traded in their tools for a title. They've stopped doing the work and started just directing it. And that shift right there, that's where the journey backward begins. This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? The absolute second you stop being the person who does the thing and become the person who just has the title for the thing, your progress reverses. You're not on the train to Richville anymore. You're on the express train right back to where you started.
So if this is such a huge trap, how do you actually avoid it? Well, the answer might lie in a really simple habit that's shared by some of the most successful people on the entire planet. A habit they keep up even after they've made more money than they could ever spend.
It's been reported over and over again. Guys like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, billionaires, they still carry their own bags. Now that seems like a tiny, trivial thing, right? But it's a conscious choice. It's a small way of staying grounded, of holding on to the simple habits of a worker, and never, ever losing that direct connection to the real world.
Now, for maybe the most powerful, almost chilling example of this whole cycle, let's turn to a prophecy from the man who basically built modern Dubai, from the ground up, Sheikh Rashid. When an interviewer asked him about his vision for the future, this was his answer. It's so specific it's almost scary. He didn't predict endless growth and prosperity. He predicted a complete and total reversal of fortune in just 4 generations. But why? And this just lays it out so clearly. You can see the cycle, from hardship, the camel, to luxury, the Rolls-Royce, and then right back to hardship again. So what did Sheikh Rashid understand about wealth and about human nature that led him to such a shocking conclusion? He understood this fundamental law of history. See, his father's hard times, riding that camel, made him strong enough to build a city. And that strength created easy times, a Mercedes. But those easy times, the comfort of a Rolls-Royce, well, they don't forge strength, do they? They create weakness. And weak people, they inevitably create hard times all over again.
And that's the absolute core of it. When life gets too easy, when success feels like it's guaranteed, that worker spirit just dies. We become idle. We get complacent. We become managers of our wealth instead of workers creating it. And that's when the cycle begins its inevitable turn right back towards the desert. Okay, so if this cycle is so powerful, so predictable, how in the world do you break it? How do you make sure your journey, and the journey of the people who come after you, keeps heading towards Amirpur and never ever turns back?
The antidote is to consciously, deliberately adopt the worker's mindset. It means you take the medals, the trophies, the promotions, and the fancy titles, and you put them all on a shelf. And then you go back into the field and you work with the exact same intensity, the same hunger you had on day one when you had nothing.
Because at the end of the day,
People don't follow a job title. They don't follow what you say. They follow what you do. They follow the person they can see is still in the trenches, still getting their hands dirty, still setting the example. Leadership isn't a position you get to have. It's a standard you have to live up to every single day.
So, it all comes down to this one last question for all of us. After the big goal is hit, after the applause dies down and the celebration is over, what are you going to do tomorrow morning? Because your answer will determine everything. It will determine if your journey keeps moving forward or if you've already started that long walk back to the camel.